Okay, good evening everybody, and welcome to Policy and Resources meeting Monday the 6th of July. So a bit of housekeeping I'd like to start with. So this meeting will be live streamed through the Council's Facebook page, so persons attending will be captured on film except when seated in the public seating area with the exclusion of the front row, so you will be picked up. Any speech may be picked up and broadcast. A fire alarm drill is not planned. In the event that the alarm sounds, please make your way out of the building using either staircase to the meeting point in Red Lion Yard and await further instructions. Councillors are reminded that to avoid the risk of being seen as predetermined or biased, they should consider all debate prior to deciding on how to vote on items of business. Urgent items for information only can be brought to the attention of the committee at the discretion of the chairman at the end of the meeting. No decision can be taken on items not detailed on the published agenda. And finally, please could I ask that all mobile phones are either turned off or to silent. Thank you very much. So, business to be transacted. So the first item is apologies for absence. We have some apologies from Madam Clerk.
Councillor Coleman, who has a prior commitment.
Thank you. Could I have a proposal to approve those apologies? Councillor Fisher, Councillor Richards, all in favour, Fisher? Lovely, thank you. Item 2, declarations of interest. To receive disclosures of interest from councillors on matters to be considered at the meeting, the disclosure shall include the nature of the interest. If a member becomes aware during the course of the meeting of an interest that has not been disclosed, they must do so immediately. Councillor Fisher.
Fair trade.
Is that personal interest?
Yes.
Yeah, don't forget, put your microphones on, please. Anybody else, Councillor?
I'm not quite sure whether this is an interest, but I'm a trustee of OUC, current member should be one.
Okay, thank you, as I'm also a trustee of OUC as well. Anybody any other interest to declare? Okay, we'll leave it that. If anything comes up in a minute, then fine. Item 3, public participation. So this is to receive questions or comments from members of the public, and please note that decisions cannot be made on items not detailed on the agenda. And we welcome representatives from the Dartmoor Museum of Dartmoor Life, who I think you wish to address the committee. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Yes. It would be helpful if you would just stand and perhaps speak into one of the microphones, and then the public can hear. Thank you.
Like that?
That's wonderful, thank you.
Okay. Sit down, otherwise I'm looming over you. It's all right. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you too for the many, many years of support that Town Council has given to the Museum of Dartmoor Life. I think it's fitting to recall that 50 years ago, to this day, not this day, this year, the Town Council allowed the Charter Hall to be used for the first meeting saying, shall we have a museum in Oakhampton? And it was full to bursting. There was no standing room only. And from that, we still now have our thriving museum, which has only thrived, has only survived through the support of the Town Council. You've received various letters, some of them from me over the years, thanking you for that support and saying, actually without that support, the museum probably wouldn't exist today. So thank you for that. You have been our key partner through the years. Others have dropped by the wayside, but you've been there through, which is why we have a representative on the trustees of the Town Councillor. When I first joined, there were no voting rights, but we took the opportunity when we became a CIO to convey voting rights. I think there's been a misunderstanding because we have assumed with the Town Council rep that they'd be able to speak for us, but I think there was a fear that was a conflict of interest. So my apologies that wasn't anybody else who came to your meeting when you made your decisions. I've got to say, we've been completely thrown in the last 2 years by the reduction from 5,000 to 1.5. We understood the bit that we could get some money from the bid, and we did. We don't know how sustainable that is, how long it will be for, but we can understand that. But it will probably mean that this year we won't break even. We will struggle, and it has wider implications as well. because if we don't break even, we have to eat into the reserves that we put on one side, which are part of our match funding to the National Lottery, and we have ambitious plans for our current site, and there's two things about the National Lottery. One is that we've got to find 10%, and secondly, the bid we're making at the moment, for which we've been working hard on, is the first step. We need to retain enough money to do the 10% for the second step as well. So while we've managed to secure some reserves, they're not, if you like, they're spoken for if we wish to keep a roof over our heads, literally, on that one. The second thing about the National Lottery is obviously we need to show that we have the support of our community. And at the moment, represented by the Town Council, it doesn't look like, it looks like that support is falling away. So what I would like to do is to come back and talk to you in more detail in an agenda meeting about how we can make sure that our partnership of the last 50 years and the success of the museum can be built upon for the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Are you happy just to say questions? Members have any questions? Members, if anybody has any questions, but I must ask you to refrain from doing this, forming an opinion, okay, or moving into any that looks like debate, because if this comes onto the agenda, you must come with an open mind, okay? It's just a gentle reminder. So if you have any questions, please don't have any preamble too lengthy. Does any member have any questions? That's Richard.
It's more of a comment rather than a question.
Please could I ask you to refrain and to ask questions?
Yeah, all right.
not
Well, very
comments,
simply,
forming-
in that case, please can I ask you if you can send to some of us, it's on. Okay. Please can I ask you if you could send certainly to the Town Council, but to me, I'm interested. I don't have any idea what your plans are.
Right, yeah, indeed we can do that. I mean, presumably you know the past because you get our annual report each year, and you've had a chance to look at that. But at the moment, yes, there's intense work going on those plans, and yes, we can make sure we get a summary to you. We don't want the whole of it, but we'll give you a summary too. Yes, we'll do that.
Being no other questions at all? No? In that case, at least, thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to us this evening. It's very much appreciated, and you're always very welcome to come and chat to us, and either whether it's in a formal setting or in a more informal one. It's been good to see you. So thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
what I didn't say, I haven't given Jonathan, who's our treasurer, a chance to speak, but obviously having financial questions, he's the man.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and you're welcome to stay, or if you need to leave, that's absolutely fine. Okay, and thank you for your letter. Okay, so item 4 is members' questions. To receive questions from members regarding the working of the committee. Does any members have any questions? No? Okay, thank you. Item 5, minutes. To resolve to approve minutes of the Policy and Resources Committee meetings held on the 18th of May and the 8th of June 2026. Minutes have been circulated. So everybody happy? Councillor Tolley?
Opposed?
And as a seconder, please, Councillor Bird. All in favour, please show. Thank you. All signed afterwards. So item 6. Item 6, to consider and resolve to recommend the following policies to full council. So you've had a list of policies that have been circulated. Some of them are new and some are just updates. So the allotment policy and application form. I want to clarify with the clerk because this is nothing to do with OUC, this is the Town Council, so it's fine for us to do. So we've got the allotment policy and application form. What we will probably do is take these on block. I should go through them each briefly one at a time. If anybody's got any queries or questions. So on the first one, allotment policy and application form, anybody got any questions on this one? No, everybody's happy with it? Okay. I did have a couple myself, if I may, on pages 4, I think is the main one. Talks about breach residential conditions. and it talks about if somebody is living outside or becomes clear they're living outside the town. But what would happen if somebody moved house? So, in other words, when somebody applied for an allotment and they were living within the town, but then they moved and they were outside the boundary, would they be able to retain that allotment, or would they be expected to give it up?
They would be expected to give it up because the council is funding it and the funding should be used for the benefit of residents.
Okay, does that need to be sort of clarified a little bit within that? Because it's kind of worded as a breach that somebody is intentionally not disclosing, as opposed to a change of somebody's
I
circumstances.
think it's a bit both on that one, but we can
Yeah.
clarify that.
Yeah. So is everybody sort of kind of happy with that? Just getting some clarification on that one. So if nobody has any more questions on that one and the application form, we then have the business continuity plan. That has got some just very minor changes. It's populated with confidential stuff at a later date. That's not on this. Again, anybody got any questions or queries on this one? No? Okay. Move to data protection complaints policy. This is again a new one. Anybody got any questions? No? I did have one, which is we talk a little bit about people making complaints on social media, etc. I mean, we can't take an anonymous complaint, but that actually isn't actually clarified in there.
I can add that in. This was a policy that came from Peninsula HR, so I've just used their policy, but we can add that in.
Yeah, just from a practical perspective, you can't deal with an
No,
anonymous complaint, or if somebody comes in anonymously, we're not going to just pick it up and
and we may also not pick up all complaints that come through on social media.
social media notes, it moves so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is everybody happy with the content of what's in that complaint, including about social media? Okay. Then we move to the expenses policy. Again, very minor changes, just mainly because there's been changes on the HMRC travel rates, approved rates. So the policy has just been updated to reflect that. Any questions from anybody? That's Ferguson.
Just says then that it's just, we're just going to refer to whatever HMRC is saying at that time rather than being a definite 45 pence a mile or whatever. Okay.
If you're happy with that.
Yeah, it just stays as the HMRC approved rates. Because of course it's less if you've gone over 10,000 miles, it's, I think we'll be in that position, so. So then we move to the health and safety one. Again, this isn't a new one, there are no material changes within it. So long document, 80 odd pages. Yes.
The annual review of this one.
Yes.
Is required.
Again, anybody got any questions, queries, concerns? Wonderful. Hang on a minute, I'll get the end of. Okay. So the press media policy has been rewritten. It's just the language, I think, has been updated predominantly. Madam Clerk, is there anything you feel we need to draw attention on
No,
this one?
it's just been a bit better defined, really, and just updated along with policies that others, similar policies that others have, including NOC and the SLCC.
Anybody got any questions? No? No, you're all doing really well. Assuming you've read it all, again, item G, the safeguarding policy, again, no material changes. So a lot of these are annual, councillor each.
I don't know if I missed it. But it
Which
is-
microphone on, please?
completely different to.
It will find it.
I don't know if I missed it, but is there official training for safeguarding included?
We do, the Peninsula HR and Health and Safety, they have safeguarding training for that staff that they use.
It's just was then it was made this mandatory for members.
I can find some for you if you would like some.
No, thank you.
But it's not actually stipulated within the policy that mandatory training, is there? No. Okay, so H is the Simmons Park hire policy, and this has gone through parks and it is recommended as in. The only minor addition possibly will be including a clause talking about compliance with the bylaws, with a list of the bylaws on the back. So for instance, horses aren't allowed in the park, so that will be a part of the policy. Any queries on that? No? Okay. Social media, IT and phone use policy for employees. Again, it's just a bit that's been deleted, which is when staff had to use their own devices, but now they don't. Okay. Right, and our volunteer policy, which hasn't got any changes to it. Volunteer agreements. And then finally, the whistleblowing policy. And with no real changes apart from saying complaints about councillors need to go to monitoring officer. So if everybody's happy with all of those, could we have a proposal to roll out of commendable class, please? Councillor Leach, Councillor Fisher, all in favour? Lovely, thank you very much. Yeah. Keep them for full council actually, answer that. Right. Lovely. Okay, so now we're on item 7, finance and audits. 7.1, council audit. So Councillor Marsh reports on recently undertaken council audit, bank reconciliations, online payments and Lloyd's debit card transactions made since the last report. I understand she sent an email.
She has. She sent me an email this morning saying, just in case I don't make the meeting, I would like to report that I carried out the May audit and everything was in order.
Noted. Thank you. Item 7.2, management accounts. To consider, agree and adopt the management accounts as circulated for the months ended 30th of April and 31st of May. Anybody got any queries on the April ones? No? And the May ones? All make sense? Okay, so could we have a proposal to adopt them, please? Councillor Tolley, seconder. Councillor Bird, all in favour? Thank you. 7.3, investments. To review financial investments, including interest rate and Tamar Energy community shares. You've got this as part of your report. This is for noting. Anybody have any questions on this? Does it make sense to you? So I know you're on the committee. So if it doesn't make any sense, please do so. Anybody got any questions or queries on that one? No? Happy to know that?
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. 7.4, payment schedule. So just to resolve to approve the payment schedule, and Councillor Richards has got the check with him, and all in order.
All in order.
Thank you very much for that. Councillor Fisher?
I propose we accept them.
Okay, so seconder, Councillor Tolley. Did you have a question, Councillor Leach?
No.
Application, that was all. All in favour, please show. Lovely, thank you. There's that one. Fine. 7.5, the HMRC mileage rate increase. So this is to resolve to approve the future payment of staff and council mileage at the new rate of 55 pence a mile, and that reimbursement of expenses to be backdated to the 1st of April 2026. Any members have any questions on this? Councillor Leach.
It's not a question, it's a statement. With 45 pence for years, literally, years and years. And it's about time it went up because it really hasn't covered costs. For it, especially the public transport rate.
Anybody any questions? Have you got children's rights? In which case, could I have a proposal please to approve the future payments? Councillor Richards?
I'll propose, yes.
Thank you. Got two, Councillor John seconded. All in favour? Lovely. Thank you. 7.6, violence. To resolve to approve violence in accordance with the attached report. Again, that is on your report. If you read this, then it was something that was agreed during the budget setting for rollover of some unspent funds. And so now we're actually ratifying the actual moving them across. So they go from general reserves to the relevant budget codes, to relevant ones for us as both democratic and PNR, but we do approve more. Anybody got any questions or queries? Madam Clerk?
The only one that wasn't actually previously agreed was A. It's been agreed that we will keep back £105 from each past mayor's badge, but not that we would hold it in a separate ring-fenced EMR just for that. It was in with the civic regalia, but when we've been using funds for civic regalia, then it's not separated out, so there's no specific amount. So I'm suggesting there that actually it should be specific.
So you need its own budget line, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. So we all happy with this?
Yep.
Again, is there a proposal, please? Councillor Leach, seconded, Councillor Richards. All in favour? Lovely. Thank you. 7.7, the grant budget. This is to consider a proposal by Councillor Coleman that the committee considers increasing the grant budget for the current year, which currently stands at £270.45, and the associated environmental funds from general reserves to the grant budget. Councillor Coleman obviously isn't here, but I am minded that we have got grant applications coming up. I know the clerk was going to see have a look at what any underspend had been in the previous year, whether there would be the option to move that across.
There was, in the end, even though we had lots of applications, because we kept a little bit of money back for smaller grants, there's actually £1,541 that was unspent at the end of last year.
1,400.
1,541.
So that would be an option. We need to be mindful that when we set our budget, if we start transferring money across, then that expectation will happen every year. That organisations will say, why can't you just transfer money across? Anyway, over to you. Anybody has any comments on this? Councillor Richards.
I have, personally speaking, I start to see red flags. And so I decided to talk to a number of other people, other residents, to understand how people in general feel about this. And I came to the conclusion, which is why I have to bring it up under 7.7, although it is a much wider issue, that I would my intention is to definitely abstain from any proposal to increase the budget, and I'm actually minded to vote against it. And my reasoning is very simple. I suddenly started to think that if we had found all the money that was requested of us, I think, and please, Madam Clerk, correct me if I'm wrong, but we would be starting to think in terms of it representing about 8 or 9% of our expenditure for a year. And I'm beginning to feel, when it comes to that sort of money, as to whether we should be asking our residents, our electorate, A, do they want to see their taxes spent this way? Because there will be a body of opinion that would say they would prefer to actually make the donations specifically and individually and directly. And whilst so therefore, for that reason, and then there's the specific reason, which I discussed with the residents, which was, should they be able to have an input into what, if grants are going to be made, and we do intend to make a significant proportion of our revenue going in that direction, especially mindful that we might have more available in the coming year, should we not be undertaking some form of, some form of investigation, some form of research to find out what our electorate think? A, do they think it's the correct thing to do? And B, would they want to have an input into where the money went to? Okay, I feel that I'm uncomfortable about the idea of a small group of us making a decision just based on the pieces of paper that were supposed to all arrive by a certain time and didn't. I think that I have this feeling when I looked at Councillor Coleman's idea, I thought, this is setting a precedent, and I'm not sure I'm happy with this precedent. I think we published a policy. We said when all the applications should be received by. I don't think there's any. It's up to people to understand and abide by our rules. So, with the greatest of respect, because we're talking about something which is very, very delicate, but I am minded. Certainly, I would not be voting for a proposal for this increase, because later on, when we actually talk about the individual things, it would be disingenuous of me when I don't feel we should be doing it at all. Okay?
Fair enough. Thank you. Thank you.
The policy actually asked for applications for £400 and over that had to be received by a certain date, and it says that any others will be considered throughout the year.
Okay.
The smaller ones, so just to clarify that point.
Right.
Okay, and of course we do have a review of the policy which we can discuss.
Indeed.
Councillor Fisher.
Can I just confirm one thing before I make a comment? The £1,541 is an underspend from last year's grants. I don't agree with Councillor Richards. I don't agree with Councillor Richards in that there's no way people are going to out there say, I will give it to Fair Trade, I will give it to this, I'll give it to that. They don't know the places. And so unless we do it, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to be, we're not going to support them. So I would support that that 1,541 on this occasion does come across.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
If there's a proposal, I'll second it. But I'll also say, up to a point, I agree with what Councillor Richards is saying. And what I would like to propose is that we have a proper agenda debate on this. Because I thought we had last year some form of debate where we agreed that we would look at the organisations that do the most for the town, that gives most benefit to the town and our residents first, which is what we used to do years ago. And you had ring fence figures for certain charities, and somewhere on it got lost. I don't know where, but I think we should have a proper debate. And I do agree that maybe some of the decisions which were made last time when I wasn't here, some people some residents in the town may go, oh, I don't want money goes to this, that, the other. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see, a proper debate, specifically in grants, please.
Are you talking outside what we actually have on this agenda item here? Are you talking about to do with the review? Because that is what we have on the agenda, but we actually haven't got Councillor Coleman's proposal to hand only that he was ordered to increase the grant budget.
Yeah, I don't think we should, personally. But if we got money from last year, then it's fine, use it this year. Because I can't actually say what was coming up next.
I think it's,
Things really didn't go as well as I thought it would then last meeting.
Okay, so I'm going to check then, Councillor Fisher, was that a proposal that you made?
I do propose that we use the £1,541 from last year's underspend.
And Councillor Leach has seconded that, so that, members, is what we are debating, okay, what we will be voting on.
Yes.
Anybody, any other questions, queries? Councillor Bird?
No, I just think, I also agree with what we're saying about the 1,541 coming over, but also I agree with Councillor Leach that we need to have a debate in my head, because I knew that the representatives from the museum were coming, and I'm happy with the fact that they feel that the County Council haven't supported them, and I just think that that it's really important that we have that discussion as to, you know, how do we had so much money and we cut the cost accordingly, and it was, yeah, I think perhaps on hindsight we could have done it very differently, but I also think that it's when we make mistakes, if I say that, then you kind of can think, oh, well, what went wrong there and how can we do it differently? So I think this has highlighted an issue because we didn't have enough money for everyone, and it highlighted the issue that we therefore made a blanket decision about everyone, and perhaps that wasn't a well thought through thought that we agreed to. But anyway, that's going back on the decision we made last time, but I support the proposal.
Anybody else wish to speak? Councillor Tolley, did you wish to speak? Okay, so we will take back to the vote then. So we have a proposal to move across the 1541 underspend to add that to our 27045, which would be then the full amount that we have left for the remainder of the financial year. Everybody clear on the proposal? So as a vote, all in favour, please show.
I'm in favour of it.
Thank you. Okay, so that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So 7.8, banking provision. So to consider the transfer of funds in accordance with the report, which you again have got before you, we will need to vote on item A, which is deciding which figure to use. As we agreed that we would keep 1 month's anticipated expenditure, which will be calculated annually within this easy access business account for obvious business reasons. And we have two choices as to whether we use the preset figure or the actual expenditure, not including earmarked reserves. Members, do you have any preference? Madam Clerk, do you have a recommendation? Because I would have thought the anticipated expenditure, because the preset is about what's coming in, whereas the outgoings on the actual.
That was what we thought. There are different ways you could do this, but we need something that is simple and easy to be able to do this year and to carry it forward. So one of those two would make sense, and the idea is partly that if, for example, the other bank that we use, Lloyds, was inaccessible for some reason, we would still hopefully be able to pay our general bills. So it's not that we have another account that we will be using on a general basis, because we won't, but it's just to hold funds just in case.
And just to check, would this be, whichever figure was chosen, would then that mean that the money in that account would sit at that figure? There would be
For that year.
Yeah, so each month. So you know, if you hadn't spent the whole amount, you just transfer up to that amount. You wouldn't transfer the whole block, wouldn't you?
It's unlikely. We would try and keep it at that amount throughout the year, but if you weren't, say, I don't know, £5 interest or whatever, we wouldn't bring that back out of there, because there's no point for small amounts.
No. And any large expenditure that was budgeted wouldn't need to come back to committee, it would be transferred to. Okay, Councillor Fisher.
We all know nothing's going down. I think I've got it on.
You have,
I've got to speak louder.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. We all know things are getting, and I think we're better off having a little bit more in there. So I propose that we have number 2 and 55.
Okay, is there a second of the B? Councillor Tolley. Anybody else wish to speak in debate on that one? Then all in favour, please show. Item B. Okay. That's everybody. And then the second part of that is for noting, as far as I can tell. Yeah, so it's just really what it's going to be used and how it's going to be used. Okay? Right. Right, 7.9, the Devon Pension Fund. So this is to note, so again, noting that the employer contribution rate decreased from 21.8% to 18.1% in April 2026 for a 3-year period. You have a report there that talks about the actuaries, but Madam Clerk, is there anything you wish to add to this?
Not unless anybody's got a question other than to say that it has obviously been beneficial to the council's finances, because it's only very slightly, but it has reduced the bill a little.
Otherwise, the Devon Pension Fund has got enough money to meet its liabilities. Has anybody got any questions, queries on that? Does that all make sense, everybody? Okay, so that's for noting. Okay, item 8, Town Council grant. So we have in our pot that 1541 plus 270, just rounding it up. It's 1811 near enough, isn't it? So we have to consider some small grant applications. Oakhampton Fair Trade Group for a grant of £100 towards the cost of hall rental, you've got the pack here, a speed of transportation and fee and refreshments. And you will note if you look at the accounts that their reserves have increased between 2024 and 2025, same period. Their reserves have increased by £192.66. Any members, any comments? Councillor Bishop.
Well, last weekend we were at the Creative Festival in Fairplace, where we were at the Creative Festival and we gave out, I produced these sheets with 5 recipes on them, and the members of Fairtrade made them all and people tried it. And there's no doubt people did go away thinking, I can use Fairtrade for this, and we made sure it was just as cheap. I think it's quite a good working group, to be fair. It's not high profile, but it's there, and I support it, of course.
Anybody else in the other? They're going just for 100 for full cost of 150 and for Hamlets for the other £50. Last year it came just to 90. That's what I
And that was proposed that we discount £100.
full amount, £100. Okay, so a second of that? Councillor Bird. Any other speaking debate? All in favour, please show. Thank you. Okay. So then we go to the B, which is the Parochial Church Council of the Ecclesiastical Parish of All Saints Church, Oakhampton, for a grant of £400 towards the resurfacing of the Hall car park. Again, we've got a set of accounts there, and they've got 2 quotations. So the amount, relative to the quotation, the amount they've asked for is quite small from us. Really small from us. They, I know, certainly suggest that anything we do decide to give, that we would make it conditional upon being released when we've got confirmation that we've got full funds, because there's quite a lot to raise. Councillor Leach.
I'm probably well out of date, but it was a time when we couldn't give money to religions.
That's changed, but the hall isn't just for religious use.
No.
But we, yeah, it's always been a grey area, and they used to say absolutely not, and it's still debatable really if it was for the use for a specific faith. It's used, but the hall is used by all sorts of reasons, so it's not for a particular faith.
It's almost like a village hall, really, isn't it? And it's, you know, what happens in there. Councillor Bishop.
I'll turn my mic on. I would support this. This town lives off coffee mornings, and I know because I go to 3 most weeks. And there's 3 on, but they do a very good over there, and you can have Charter Hall full, and they're over there. They're doing a very good job, and they've spent a lot of money on the hall, getting it right, and services the last bit of it, so I would support it.
So you've been making a proposal?
I propose, yes.
Well, what do you actually be clear about what you're proposing, please?
I propose that we give the All Saints Church Hall for the concreting £400.
£400. And would you be happy for that to be released on confirmation that they've received the full amount?
Yes, because they're talking about it November the 1st, I think.
Yes, so in the financial year.
And
That's
there's no
right.
deadline at all, because otherwise it could carry forward to 2 or 3 years in
It
advance.
would be this financial year.
Within this financial
Yeah,
year.
anything like that would have to be within this financial year.
Just checking.
Otherwise.
Okay, in this financial year.
Yeah, and confirmation that they've received the full amount. Is there a seconder for that?
Can I?
Yeah, can
May
I just get a seconder a second?
All right,
And then,
okay.
is there a seconder for that proposal?
I'll second also in a minute.
Okay, so you've seconded, so Councillor Richards.
Yes. The reason I didn't speak before on this matter is that it's not the money that I'm concerned about, it's actually how they're actually going to do the work. And I'm not sure whether we as a town council can say anything, but I'm just hoping that what doesn't get produced or is created is another block of impervious surface which will allow even more rainwater to run off, because at the moment what they've got, which is gravel, the water soaks straight in, okay, and as a result of that, you know, if you get a heavy shower, yeah, there's a puddles for a few, but there isn't a runoff. And what worries me is that when I read this, and we use it for our, you know, for the repair cafe, so I know the area quite well, and I'm thinking, if they surface it and they don't do anything about the drainage from that surface, then in reality they're going to be creating a problem which we possibly haven't thought of. Now I know it's not necessarily something for us as a council to get involved in, unless you thought it was reasonable to add sort of like a little addendum to our plan, that it was undertaken in environmentally friendly way. It's just a thought.
I don't think we can do that. People come to us for a grant and we need to either award or not based on their application.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than putting any conditions that we would put on would be the release of the funding and the amount, rather than what they do, because that's in the nicest possible way their business to do. And they have received quotes, which presumably is from competent people to do the job. So they should.
May I just say that when they did the railings, those were not done competently.
Okay, you speak just a little bit carefully, okay? Because this is in public domain. All right.
Understood.
Okay. Right. So we have a proposer and a seconder for the full 400. Councillor Leach, yes, you wish to speak.
Because we should suggest they also, because there's quite a lot of nationally and locally for Workington halls, that they actually try to get money through those streams.
What you mean through the Devon, because of the stuff that comes on the Devon Funding News, isn't there?
For West grant for halls, communities together as grants for halls.
Yeah, they haven't put anywhere apart from the
That's what
OUC and the Hamlets Parish Council. So they could certainly be pointed to alternative potential sources of funding as well. Okay. So anybody else wish to speak? So we have a proposer and a seconder for the full amount to be spent within the financial year and released on confirmation of the that they raised the funds. Okay. All in favour, please show. Anybody against? And an abstention. Thank you. And then our final one, which is Oakhampton Argyle Youth Football Club for a grant of £375 for the cost of replacement footballs. They haven't, I mean, it's quite difficult to tell from the, actually, it's better to read it in here than it was at home. The account that they've sent as a summary, which shows that they have actually expenditures exceeded the income for that particular financial year so far. And we haven't got any information about any reserves or any, unless that was all you've got, was it? Okay. So they haven't basically sent go through his budget, but just, bear with me just a sec. Looking for the application. So all applications must include a statement of accounts. So it isn't really a proper set of accounts, it's a summary. Copy of any document, copy of the current year's budget, which I don't think is included, and costings of applying for a specific project, confirmation of funding. So that's all being met, but they sent a copy of the current year's budget. That's all that you've actually got. Okay. So just thinking about policy, members might wish to take that into account.
You could defer it if you was more information that you want.
Okay, so that is an option. Councillor Leach?
We have given grants to the football club youth side. Lots of it's usually teams, tops, boots, shorts. Where we get asked for the local department, we can hardly ask for football and 10 council local to be kicked and paid. But I'm not questioning where we stand with equipment like that.
As in, I don't quite know what you mean. I mean,
Well-
for the grant for equipment.
They could ask for goals and goldsmiths and that's equipment rather than personal stuff that the youngsters have.
Don't think we get to take them home. I think they ask us that when they're playing and training, they've got a ball to go.
No, I'm saying when we have given grants in the past, it was for clothing.
Yeah.
I think. This one, the ball was good news for anyone.
Anybody else have any comments on this? Councillor Bird?
I was just thinking if we haven't got everything that we've requested, perhaps we need to give that feedback that we need everything we requested just to set that precedent, because otherwise what's the point in asking for it if we're going to say, oh, it doesn't matter. So I think that principle needs to be adhered to. I don't have a problem at all with granting and supporting it. I just think we need to have that, if we're going to ask for it, we need to supply it. So just send, that would be my proposal, that we send it back and ask for them to send everything that we need, and then we can properly consider it.
Okay, so you're proposing deferral pending the...
Deferral, pending.
Yeah, or the information that we need. Yeah, is there a second to that, Councillor Fisher?
Yes, I'll second it.
All in favour? Lovely, thank you. Okay. So item 9, which is the mayoral chain of office, so this is part of what we were just agreeing with the new chain before, so this is to resolve to approve the list of names to be engraved on the new chain of office, and you've got it there before you, and we've gone backwards as far as 2006, aren't we, because prior to that was on the old chain.
Please read it carefully, because once it's engraved, that's it.
And also, this would also be the pattern going forward as well. So initial, last, just one initial and the last name, and then the year that that individual was mayor. Some of us have done 2 years, and whether we want to keep it as, so for instance, Councillor Coleman is 2025 and 2026, which is 16 letters and a paper letter, or whether we wanted for people who've done 2 years, 2025 stroke 26, but that could appear that it's for 1 year. So,
You could take out the and symbol.
I suppose you could, yeah. But, what are people's thoughts? Or to have it as it stands? Councillor Bishop?
Are we limited on letters, so say 16 or 17, is that the maximum?
No, not at all.
Well, could I ask it, because it's an official thing that my MBE goes in mind, please? Because that's an official title.
Okay, I would only say the only issue with that is if somebody is then awarded in the honours list after they've been mayor and it isn't on.
Well, there wouldn't be a mayor as their honours, would they?
Right, so you're talking about the people who already have an honours.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody in the room? There's going to be room for that?
But we can try.
Yeah.
It's only a very small space, but we can see if
Well, if it's limited, it's not the end of the world, but it is an official,
Yeah, I mean, the things was up quite small, so it might not have to be as legible as you would like, but, so in terms of the pattern then, which is just that first initial and the surname, rather than middle names or, any, you know, more than that, and the year, and if it's a second subsequent year,
At the end ought to be,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
it's making there.
And for anybody who is a OBE, MBE or whatever it might be. That to be included as well. Councillor
Do we know what the limit of, I don't, right, misread that, no, do we know what the limit for letters is?
No, I don't, I'm afraid, but we wouldn't want too many on there because otherwise you wouldn't be able to read it.
somebody who's double barreled, maybe a little bit of a, it could be a little bit of a squeeze. Any other comments? Do you want to have a proposal for somebody, Councillor Richards?
The only thing that occurs to me would be to do something like 2016/17, but that's the only, I mean, if we're concerned about the number of and the cost, then that would make sense. But, you know, but apart from that, that's just a comment.
And it could look like it's 1 year, 2016/17, because I thought of the same thing, and then I thought about doing it more, and actually it looks like, you know, for some people it's just been listed as 1 year.
Yeah.
To be honest, if I'm not sure. I think we're honouring the person, and we're honouring when the person served. Now, whether it's necessary, having honoured them once, if you know what I mean, whether we need to honour them with 2 years. That was what I was trying to allude to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think we're honouring that you have served, and we're honouring that they have served as a mayor at some time. We don't necessarily, I don't think the public would worry as to whether all the years that they served were actually put on. That should be somewhere else, which it is, where you have a sort of a plaque, you know, covering the years. That's my only thought.
Councillor Leach.
I think we should stick to what we've been doing in the past as much as we can. I mean, mine was 2004, 5, and 7. That's a bit hard to put on. I can't remember what's about this year. So people could do more. Yes. So are you going to just add it to the shoe if later on they become again? Or are you going to have a separate name on the notice?
I think it would be a matter of separate, because this is about so again, go back to Councillor Coleman, because you know, he's the most recent one. So he would have done 2025 and 2026, assuming he got re-elected, and maybe went back in and as mayor in, I don't know, 4 years' time or 8 years' time. That would be a fresh, and maybe he might do 1 year or he might do 2 years, because our standing orders do stipulate that somebody can only be mayor for a maximum of 2 years in an electoral term. So that means you could do 4, because you could do the last 2 years and the first 2 years of the next electoral term. Somebody could, in theory, do 4 years, but it was kind of done like that to just so you did get changes, rather than somebody settling into being mayor for 20 years, which I don't think is necessary.
Continuity. They know it's a new chain.
Yeah.
For continuity, we ought to keep as close to what we've got now
Yeah.
as we can on the space.
Councillor Bishop.
I agree with Councillor Richards. I think just the one date actually does the job. You know, if people want to find out when you were mayor, they can do that. It's on the internet everywhere. So the one date might be quite nice anyway. And it's obvious if you go through the chain, it will show. For instance, I did 23 and whatever I did 23. The next one's 25. So I don't think you need to have the 2 years.
So 100 what is the old, on the original train at the moment?
That's all the dates.
It is all dates like that, is it? So that's fine, okay. That's good.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was going to ask, what was on the previous chain, because some of the, so in the previous chain, if somebody was a mayor and then had a gap, then do they crop up again later on?
I think they've been put back on the previous one. Because then it saves.
So the extra date is added to their name? Okay.
I think.
I think that's what
Yeah.
mine is, yeah.
Yeah. Because it saves room on the chain as well.
Yes.
So if you then only had 1 year on there, if you were going to do that, then it would be very difficult to tell which years it was.
And with having done the historical mayors, I know for like about a decade or 15 years, it was one and then the other, and they just kind of leapfrogged each other. I think one became deputy while the other one became mayor, and then they switched, and that happened for about 10, 15
South
years,
Molton.
just back and forward. And I also,
Not then,
South Molton, yeah.
it's still the same as going back.
from a chain point of view, that would just be really messy. So yeah, but I wonder whether the thing that we're going to engrave, the plaque, that's on the actual chain, isn't it? Because we can't do the little link, yeah. The little link, so that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've got student thoughts coming forward. So what we actually really need now is a proposal. Somebody to make a proposal, please.
I've forgotten what the options are. Sorry.
Councillor Bird got there first.
Okay, I propose that we have what's there, which is the letter and then the name, and then for the year, oh gosh, that's tricky. I think it's just tricky. I think whether we just do, like say for instance, if it was Luxton, she's the first one that's there, so it's 2006, and then if she had done it in 2010, 2011, then we do /2010 /2011, because then it's actually easier to add those on, because it's a slash and 2 more numbers. You know what I'm saying? So like say for instance if it was Richard, then 2025 /26, and then if somebody else is mayor for 4 years and then he comes back and does 2030, then you go /30. Because actually where we are now in our in year, then we've got it's 2000 and it's the last 2 letters is, for us we're not going to go into the hundreds, are we? Or we're not going to go into the next 2000, yeah, the next century, 21.
So you make that proposal with the inclusion of anybody who's got MBE, OBE or whatever from the
At that time, they've got that.
at the time.
That's what I would propose.
Okay.
Do we know if anybody else has got anything like that? Because it's not going to be possible very easily for us to follow that up with everybody.
No. Those that are listed on there, I don't think.
Walter Councillor had one, has he got it on
Yeah,
his?
they're not.
That's another one.
On there?
Yeah.
Would that be on the old chain?
Yeah, we're not going back and doing the regular one.
No, I'm
No,
just
it's
saying.
not.
Yeah, that was on the old chain.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's,
It's actually shown is the outfit is name on the old chain.
It is, is it?
Now, I'm asking you.
Oh, I don't know.
Because as far as I
To
know,
see whether there's MBEs on there.
I don't think it's been mentioned before.
Okay, well that's the proposal we've got, Councillor Fisher.
I'm happy with Councillor Bird, but I think if we just put the one date underneath the name, it will look nicer than having and so. I mean, people who are going to look at this, they're not, if they're going to check up Julia Yellen, they're going to check her up. And they're going to look on Facebook and also, unofficially they're going to find it. Not Facebook, but that sort of thing. And I think then just the 2004 or whatever it is underneath is enough, and it'll start going round.
Well, Councillor Birden's proposal was again going to Councillor Collins, 2025/26, and then with the option if somebody comes back, it goes / and then the relevant year. So that's what the proposal is. Okay. So that's all I'm asking for.
So
Is there a second for that?
Then nobody can second, it's fine if you do.
Is there a second for that? That's Councillor Leach is seconding that one. Okay, so you're clear what we're actually looking at with MBE, OBE or whatever it might be. Yeah? Maybe we should just speak in debate on that. Councillor Tolley.
Just like to say, I'm not happy with, I don't think a slash is
No.
a ceremonial, sort of historical, whatever you like to say, thing to do. So it's either a dash, I'll give you a dash, and I don't think, cutting it I'm happy to do like it is there, and you can replace it and with a dash, but I don't think a slash would be good.
Okay, Councillor Fisher.
And I would think if you're mayor in 2004 and you're getting mayor in 2028, you have another piece of change. You don't start adding on to the first one. I would say the name goes on again.
Okay, anybody else who needs to say in debate? Okay, so what we will do, we will vote on this. This is again, making sure everybody understands Councillor Bird's proposal 24/25/26, whatever it might be. Okay, if you wish to speak, Councillor Leach, before we vote.
I wish to withdraw my consent.
Also, you can do that, can you? We just need to vote on it, and if it's lost, then put an alternative.
I've never had anybody want to.
No, it's just, things that very good.
Well, that's fine, let's vote on this, and if it's lost, we'll come back with an alternative, okay? All those in favour of Councillor Bird's proposal?
I think I'm not going to vote either, so that's fine, it's a suggestion.
Those against?
All of us.
So that's the rest. Yeah, that will be. Right, oh heck, there's I think Councillor Richard just pipped you to it. You've got an alternative proposal?
I would like to propose that it be the initial letter, the surname, and 1 year. The first year.
Okay. And again, with the honours in there?
And again with the honours in there.
Is there a seconder for that?
Yes.
Councillor Fisher. Okay. Any debate on this? Would you wish to speak in debate?
Yeah, I just wonder if that'll, what, I'm just trying to think, what's the importance of knowing that somebody's been mayor more than once? Is that important? Okay, I'm gonna ask you all, you've all been mayors, other than me and Mark. Is it important that people know that you've been mayor more than 1 year? That's what you mean. Okay, does it matter? Does it matter to you?
Yeah.
Does it matter to you?
No.
No, okay, so 3-1, so actually, yeah, so that's answered my question.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak in debate on this? So we'll take that to the vote, that's for initial, surname, and just the first year, and your MBE, all in favour, please. Who against?
I was going to say.
Abstentions? Yep. Okay, so what we don't do, the spending a long time, it seems, on this. Councillor Tolley, do you
Can I
have?
just propose that we stick with what we've got here?
Yeah.
So if you've done 2 years, 2 years and a second year, or if you want to put a dash in, but it's just as long as it highlights you put it 2 years. I mean, that just, it's not, it's purely for the lists and things, isn't it? It just, actually it takes, from my point, it took me into 23, and there's so much going on there with coronations and things. It would be nice to know that I was there, so you, during those periods. So that's the way I look at it.
So you're proposing that?
I am proposing that.
For a second of that one? Yeah, no, you go, yeah, I'll propose that. We'll second that one, okay? Any debate on that? All in favour, please show. That's for, any against? Okay, that is, carried.
May I ask a question?
All right.
Following on from the debate that's been going on here, thank you. What do you want to do if somebody comes back as a later year as a mayor again? Do you want to, if there is room, add another date to the existing shield, or do you want to start a new one?
Councillor Bird.
I would say if there's room, then put the other date because it just keeps it tidy. If there's not enough room, then it would be good if the shields are a big enough thing, there would be room for maybe two
One.
more, at least one more, not two, and then if there's not enough room, then you have to just give another shared space.
Absolutely.
Equal shoots. I think that's fine, how it should be. But then it comes on these emails, so it actually shows the years
Yeah.
it's been out. Was in post. And it's just, on the sheet, it's just a recognition that you've done it years.
Yeah. Yeah, so while it's a living memory, as you said, nobody's too bothered, but if you look back 100 years, actually, it is significant because you don't know anybody from 100 years ago. So when you look at the change, oh look, there's such a, oh they did that year and they did that year. So it does actually have something there and it's part of their history. So then a proposal then as to whether the additional year is added on to the existing shield or whether a fresh shield is started. Or is it something that we should perhaps cross that bridge when it happens?
Well done, Madam Chairman. Yes, well,
Yeah, that could be Councillor Leach.
I would suggest, I would propose that we cross that bridge when it does.
To the second of that. Yeah, Councillor Richards. Anybody else in debate on that? All in favour of deferring that until we're in that position, eh?
Kick it
Slightly
down,
better than
kick it down.
crossing
Long
bridges.
grass.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Gosh, that was meaty. Right. Item 10.1, St George's Day. Again, well, this is to consider a proposal. I'm actually going to propose that we defer this one because he's not here to talk about it, and I don't think we can actually debate it effectively without him making a presentation. So, is everybody happy we defer that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's random.
Yeah. Item 11, members' reports and requests for agenda items. So this is to receive reports from members attending other organisations on behalf of the council. 11.1, excuse me, larger council subcommittee, which is myself and the town clerk. We haven't had a meeting. We have a conference which is due in October, but we actually haven't got any dates for any of the meetings that happen. At the moment, it was a little bit quiet.
How do I ask about that?
Yeah, it might be worth just chasing up the change of staff, so I might just do the next bit. 11.2, fair trade. Councillor Fisher, please.
Yep, it's quite active at the moment. We've just spent a weekend at Fair Trade. We're now going to the show. I'm going to be on their stall at the show, and we've got a fortnight, Fair Trade fortnight is the last 2 weeks in September, and we're planning that at the moment. So they're quite active.
Okay, thank you. Then 11.3, the police council advocate.
Yes, obviously I read all the things that come through, and they come through thick and fast, as you said, Madam Chairman. I was supposed to go last week to the extra race course. She said a thank you, and I was going, and then something happened and I couldn't go. But I'm actually going to a live facial recognition meeting on Monday, so I'm getting involved in it, and I like it as well. It's quite interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the last one is the West Devon Matters, which is Rice himself and Councillor Leach, so I was at the last one. This is quite a bit to report on here, some of it's slightly larger than just Oakhampton, but I still think it's useful. So there's been an 18%, this is from May, okay, so the meeting was in May. An 18% decrease in reported antisocial behaviour over the 12-month period that was before that. And what Devon Cornwall Police are actually doing, so this is over the Devon Cornwall Police, they're mapping out 20 top hotspots and deploying resources accordingly. So based on how people are reporting and evidence, that's how they're responding to try and put the resources in to go in. They have fortnightly tactical internal meetings, which is to identify priorities and adjust police presence accordingly. So they're flexing according to the demand. It isn't just as simple, right, we're only going to go down, you won't go anywhere else. So they do flex according to demand. But what it is really important is that antisocial behaviour is reported to inform those meetings. So there's no point in saying, oh, there's antisocial behaviour going on in town, police aren't doing anything. It's really important that that is reported and that will then inform the tactical meetings. With regard to actual floods, they have actually carried out an online safety presentation at the college, Northampton College. Road safety, as we probably all remember, there was a tragic accident on the A386 recently where people lost their lives. It has actually been defined as a high risk to harm route at the end of last year.
Which road was that?
The A386, so it's your sort of, it's actually not within the town, but it is down Hatherley Road, is where the accident is. So the police are working with highways that's Devon County, to get a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit in place. It is currently within the 12-month consultation period, and that, I think, started in February. The other side to do with road safety is that the A30 is usually patrolled by Highways England. They don't have the resources to do this. So we, or our local team, will be patrolling on a Monday to Sunday, 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. in the 7-week school holiday summer period, which is when you get a lot of issues. So there'll be 2 units. Those will obviously be 2 units that aren't able to be used elsewhere because they're having to use their own, Highways England don't have resources to do it. Campton is getting, or may have by now, an additional PCSO, as is Tavistock. So we won't be sharing, we'll have that one. And also there was feedback provided regarding, I don't know if you remember this far back, Temples. There was much improvement on traffic management, and that was fed back particularly, and the company which did it really well. So they are hoping that, because obviously it's St George, it's not the police that organises, they will be using the same company next year, because it did make quite a bit of difference to generally the traffic management within the town. Okay, so that's that one. So we are Councillor Lynch.
Just to say, I don't get to these meetings because for some reason they clash with England Parish Council meetings. So far, every time. But I do attend the one-to-ones when it's so I've got more or less the same sort of information that came out. But I came to the hotspots, I actually was talking to them about CCTV, but it's Tavistock CCTV, which I wouldn't go into. And also that any extra hotspots in the town of Gold Coast. So he said that these trials that are going on national, but they're hoping that that's going to come out as a national thing to all towns in the fullness of time. And of course, what they're going to do is actually fund it. Nobody's saying, yes, we want this, we want that. But this time they're going to have to fund it. That's my opinion. Not. And I was just also going to say, they used to have to patrol the A30 through its summer period, and then they had to relief on that. But it's one heck of a stretch they have to go. And one main accident, police was hit.
Yeah, so one accident, of course, completely causes a country big gridlock.
Yeah.
Gridlock's weekend, I think. Okay, lovely. Right, so thank you for that. So we move to item 12, which is part 2. So the committee is recommended to pass the following resolution, that under section 1(2) the public body's admission to meetings Act 1960, that the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items which are confidential by virtue of relating to legal and or commercial matters, staffing and or financial or business affairs of a person or persons other than the council. Could I have a second class two? It's Councillor Fisher, Councillor Leach, seconded. All in favour? Thank you.
I'm just switching off the mic.
Wait for the live stream to go down a minute.